Está bien.
그냥
Kongso chapter la chitu ni dang cheka tuidua.
아,
Re te chapter nga la tang yorowa dene za pempa chitu ni dang cheka ji dang cheka bardu tuido.
누가 저러나? 이번에
Kenza.
해봐지가 할 수
Te
있고.
yene yang te chapter de la yang te kimsa do kain sana za nima chitu nipa gozu ya yorowa tanda nang ching
제가
tuido. Yeah,
나
the
제가
Saturday. Oh, mare, kong tanga norsong.
네,
Norsong.
가져가 그래도 하나.
Yeah, yeah, lasso.
야, 전에 나가서 지내고 대리 스타일 쇼와
Mhm,
대치를 전에 나 시내에서 그 대리 다 시내에 대전에서 그 상지 있고 들을 거나 다들 쇼가 상지 있고 상지 줄 건강 원전 들을 샤 텔레미파세 이제 자다 이제 도 들을 시 상는 나와나지 텔레미파세 이제 타야 돼요.
mhm,
야, 나 상지 그 메이나 전들이나 받아 상지 그 스메이네. 달라 상노나 我今天听到在国内的心理点钱是，我今天在那个说，上节个机场拍图卡那种什么当地那里学啥的，他这个说俺参加的两年期的这有了，参加的木块的情况这种情况，他木块的旅游呢，民参
mhm,
众上节民参众要什么的上，Sept 民参众的。
mhm,
对吧？俺这初外的国外学期末上节学习了什么意思？他都有什
mhm.
么当的，他都去呢。这上节就练的去他都怎么样？我之前呢是俺那时候，
Di kong ta de toa gupa den dat peme den. Okay.
别嘛是在学习嘛，学习别嘛是他啦，那就这么当。我真的是想妈妈是当样的，我真的他先把他的。其他的上级在这样子没关地图呢，上级去收入就好下特别的，在这边才说怕上级练呢，其他练的强特别吧，这里偏到有啥了吧？
Mhm. So good afternoon, everyone. And picking up where we left off. So we started, with this basic object to rest our gaze and our attention upon, to rest our mind single-pointedly. And then the next stage, having practice in that way, is then to use a sacred image. So like a statue, for instance, or an image of the Buddha. And so you place that image, that statue in front of you. And if you don't have a statue, or if you find it easier, then instead you can rest your attention on a visualized image of the Buddha in the space in front. And so where you rest your attention on the Buddha's form is kind of at heart level. And if, for instance, during your practice, you sort of sink into a state of sloth or torpor, or you become sleepy, you can move that point of attention to his forehead or the point between his brows. And if you are agitated in your meditation, if there are a lot of thoughts and agitation, then you can move the attention instead downward to say the lotus base, the lotus seat. Um, and the benefit of using a statue of the Buddha, an image of the Buddha, is that it also, both in serving as a point for your attention to rest upon, it also puts a positive karmic imprint in your mind stream, and it has the function of helping to purify obscurations and defilements.
然后呢，他那个做一档去节点中在广大的说的，我这一档节点的在广那大概别家就是这么的，现在就是这么的，那啦，然后就嘛着把所有结果。
Mhm,
我真的不搞强的都查了嘛，有啊，其真的然后一嘛着把人家送上去。我这是查了嘛，然后这是光，我这就光呢，一档节点光特别大，我真的节点得把操作呀，这档节奏你给你们，你们送就去特别。我这个语频不好意思，我这节点一把了，那让一嘛着这作文空中学啥的，因为节奏你们去特别那样子，我这个来频不好意思的也。
mhm. Conta tenete
Allora,
mm,
gli dam dopo.
la so. So
Diciamo, vedi di giornata seconda di Fioris.
mhm,
Quattro comnate, carina, dai, dam di comnate, no, la gimro, no. La gimro va su com, ne già sono da nasci. Non c'è la be chala na, insomma, quello c'è da insomma chala na, c'è già sì. Te con da te già gimro va già sono, c'è te già ci troviamo va. 我
mhm,
在那一期，天呢，我在这在工地那的。Jerem de bato to ya la pengere de la
mhm,
pa na la yi ma ro ba zo rem je zo ni ne chi ya la a pen ro to
mhm,
ya pen ro sa de
mhm.
chi ne te de mo to ya na
Then, or you can meditate using the image of like the Yidam deity, for instance, meditating on the form of the Yidam deity, like for instance, Tara, Arya Tara. And you can visualize that she clearly appears, but empty of substantial essence. So very vivid, very clear, like the defined colors of a rainbow, bright, and vivid, but lacking substantial nature or intrinsic essence. And so this becomes essentially the practice of the generation stage, the Yidam practice of the generation stage. And when we have a very vivid visualization, but also this meditation with the empty essence on the empty essence, then it becomes both a practice of the generation stage and the completion stage, like the indivisibility of the generation and completion stages. And so if we meditate on this way continually, then it really has great benefit in helping us to accomplish this the generation and completion stage yogas as a unity.
我的呢，我当时应该做两两期的这种，但前些看清不，前到些今天你
Mhm,
特别去知道意思，你听懂，前把的些今天你不特别去知道弄的意思，我这
mhm,
种，但对这应该说前些次明那这样，两两天内头嘛，然后到前些次了，前把那在前休其中人把是个的，那个休期呢，那他妈不着个的，然后个休穷呢的啊，的，然后那他休研究着个的。我在成后年被这些措施是真把的后半年把是说哈过去的，
mhm,
成后年被这些措施是，我两
mhm,
把的交呗，他们给电教的是两把的交呗，他们给我电把使用啊说是这种的吧，
mhm, mhm.
我这绿色不学的。
And so the main purpose of this type of focus or practice is to build our meditative concentration, to build mindful awareness, essentially. So this is, the root of all success in meditation is essentially mindful awareness. If there isn't mindful awareness, then there's no practice. It is important to build the capacity for sustaining attention gradually over time, and it gets, stronger and stronger. And then when we, for instance, drop the object altogether, mainly, and prior to this, also we are building that ability to sustain attention in a way that's really balanced. So it's not too tight and not too loose. So we focus, we actively enhance our focus when needed, and we also actively relax the focus when needed. Because if we're too tight, then this can actually have the counterproductive result of intensifying the discursiveness of the mind. So actually making the mind become busier. And then if we're too loose, then there's not enough sustained attention there to really be present. And so it's quite possible that then we just kind of lose our mindfulness and awareness slips out and we're lost in thought. So there has to be a balance between tight and loose, finding the perfect balance. And in this way, we sustain mindful awareness as skillful method. And this is what really leads to accomplishment and practice.
我真的我做干嘛开些上工作啊，因为是他的，我做你这么拉不要推给工作那这开点工那钱是打死，我在干嘛开些工作啊，因为是。
So in this way, we can meditate now together for some minutes or for a few moments here. And between these two methods that he's just explained, you can choose whichever one works best for you, or whichever one you prefer.
我真的打这几天呢，我到现在这种俺说那他的你嘛那吧，我真的在听咱们这种那啥过去了，别讲了是，他你们俩参过去的嘞，然后咱们听完之后给讲了毛毛那边头先别你们俩弄学了，说就有的，这是按照有天的，我这说那他你们俩去那看那看的那这养的蛮嘛去呢，他过去的是，
Mhm.
我真的我真的他这看拉多的呢，也是吧他，真把他路把是拉不。
Mhm.
我大体现在是真把咱老板的公粮的路真把它找，这真现在咱就是一块真过去了，
Mhm.
哦，现在路去过去了，他这有的这当天是的，这可能在修上，我在修上去了，
Mhm.
现在这米了，真不你是哪的真把咱老板呢？我
Mhm.
在那修上你想把它了，我中
Mhm.
国大堂啊，咱这咱中国这个嘛，那依然他都去过的是。他中国的现在他대탕스러워 대탕생이 많아 이라 치고 그래서
Mhm.
음, 어, 시바 중지 ngabji 시바 중지 제임스 야 다지 중지 야 제임 그래서 제임네 대나세 대소 남갈라다 스키제 양 많이 뭐 제대 샤네 이번 생제 검주된 제장 메이스 연스키 제면조스 어때 되네 어다 세사리 되네 다 저당시나 다 시바 중지 다 제임 그래서 어
Mhm.
没把说那些铁杆子啦，爬地，天呢，蛮也把起过这种多，我在这档这档情况的，没管这种盲熊，那他真把他做我当那这确实情况的，慢慢这他日本长不压这是，那么多忙不真出，说先皮上那一头什么真把他忙不当呢，偏拖些
Mhm.
了，要买那什么东西什么呢？啊，忙都这样，这个。
Mhm.
那提纲了，那后半中，那你用真把它后半些，后半做我当。现
Mhm.
在这那么多这情况没法修进步的，那在这把修真把修进步当然这确实的。
Mhm.
我真的没去过这些，那他这个嘛，做每天这下午吧，等一下这种他每天就要工作要写要嘛的意思。我真的原
Mhm.
因是给前面就说，他原因就有嘛，他全把这个全把。那今天中午推送上去，熊狼推进去没别全把人，是我在推送上面
Karela?
推送上去，熊狼中有了，熊狼干的。
Mhm.
我在
Mhm.
没这熊狼那边啷个去的说是，
Mhm.
我在这种就说上去都是熊狼的，我这推进去没别千把意思，我千把
Mhm.
移民马些那是千把移民太马些那那打他看没事，但千把移民马些千把移民送的，他这呢绿的啊子，你们俩这里是去熊那这，然后打他是里头个嘛是千把先把移民送那，
Mhm.
你们俩这
Mhm.
样差不多头个嘛的送是吧？我这绿
Mhm.
的那千把是可以进步的。
Mhm. Then we practice in this way, and as it says, between sessions. So we want to meditate for short periods, but throughout the or short but repeated periods throughout the 4 sessions. So in particular, for instance, in the context of retreat, where one's time is divided into 4 sessions, the main thing that we are focusing on as we use these techniques for meditation is to sustain undistracted awareness and to be very careful also, as it says, in between sessions. So in the period in between sessions, to not be distracted by dualistic confusion and to maintain unbroken continuity in sustaining mindful attention, mindful awareness, and like before, to be cautious and slow in our activities so as not to become distracted. Then we move to the next section, which is calm abiding without a focal point. And so this has two kind of techniques, focusing and loosening. So first is focusing. So as it says,
Yeah,
maintaining the
this
body
page 20, right?
on page 20. So
29.
maintaining the body posture and gaze as before, with your mind slightly focused. Look into space at the level of the tip of your nose and set your intention on it one-pointedly without even a moment of without even a moment of distraction. So here, the technique is focusing, which is particularly also serves as an antidote to sloth and torpor, or kind of heaviness or sleepiness or lack of mental clarity. So it's important to apply this in such a way that it functions in a way to just brighten or clarify awareness and to sustain attention. If, for instance, he said, a lot of thoughts, and we're kind of in a state that's a little bit excited and agitated, then the focusing might not be so productive. In fact, it probably makes the thoughts just become multiply, or become it can cause one to become more agitated. So in that case, then it is more appropriate, for instance, to apply the instructions of loosening or relaxing into awareness rather than intently focusing. So one has to be skillful in applying these methods so that they serve the desired function. So as it says, then, while there's nothing visual or characteristic to meditate upon, do not allow even for a moment of distraction. And so, in this type of meditation, we don't have a specific object of visualization or an object to rest our attention upon. The object is the attention itself. And so we're just sustaining undistracted awareness without becoming distracted, and applying these techniques of focusing and loosening as necessary. And so, as Lord Jigten Sumgön has said, the highway of the Buddhas, or the path, the swift path of the Buddhas of the three times, is sustaining the unbroken continuity of mindfulness or mindful awareness. If one doesn't have mindful awareness, but exerts effort in practices, Dharma practices with body and speech, it without mindful awareness, because the mind is distracted, those virtuous activities won't actually pan out the way they are intended. They won't actually have the effect of being entirely pure or virtuous because the mind is distracted. So the most important aspect of our practice in any virtuous practice is sustaining mindfulness.
Ngima kadambe geishe je yorse, ben kunjarse, ze yorwa.
Hmm.
Ben kunjarse, te ku ngima guma chapa dongri, do te jil so chu lam chawachi, te nyamnen si ze chuba yagonda chao sarwa.
Hmm.
Tene kong chenhe tuzo yago ten samsangda ten tu kyo sarda, ngima matsangje nang di yo sarwa ko.
Hmm.
Matsangje nang di tu te, ti nam tuzo chilo la, te pe nze shyo ya nzhong te leka mabu yo ran zho huan sarwa.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wa ti leka tun zho so, te kona jikbo se di do sarwa nana.
Hmm.
Te kona jikbo di tu tere, nana di tu, ko ta ngan samde sa cha di sa ki gu do zang,
Hmm.
cha yorwa.
Hmm.
Te kuma je yo sarwa luksa kuma yorwa cha luksa kuma.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ten to ma lakwa je ha sarwa.
Hmm.
Te lakwa je bdu tene ko ke, te chen re so, chen xe do ni re so, wa di na lakwa je du. Tene ko
Hmm.
ke, ki ja so, kuma je mdo zi la rse.
Hmm.
자, 너무 정말 야 나죠. 그만 가라 도지. 세게 내차 라파다 자고나. 자고 룩세 쿠마 요라. 디나
Hmm.
라파 잠도 그만 데레스.
Hmm.
드는 행에 라파 파추 동사 그만 데레스.
Hmm.
니마 거나 그만 알아 왔어. 자랑도
Hmm.
시켜도 라샤데. 천현이네 다. 거나
Hmm.
거나 한테 치토 효라.
Hmm. So there's this story that you might be familiar with, a story of another Kadamba master named Ben Kunga. And before he was a Dharma practitioner, like a reformed thief. So he had been a thief in the past, and then he became a Dharma practitioner. And he was really committed to sustaining mindfulness. And at one point, he was staying with a family as the guest of a family, that was, and he was there,
디나가 센사라 거나
like his
디나.
his benefactors. And of course, they had a lot of activities to do outside, farm work and whatnot. And so he was in the home alone while they were working outside. And he had the thought, that, oh, I really need some tea in my retreat. Place. I don't have in my retreat cabin, I don't have any tea. I'm out of tea. I need some tea. He sort of like spotted a container with some tea, and he, without even thinking, stuck his hand into the container of tea, the bag of tea. And then suddenly mindfulness returned, and he was aware of what he was doing, and he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Hey, there's a thief! There's a thief!" And so the owners came running from outside to see, where the thief, and they said, "Where's the thief? Who's the thief?" And he said, "The thief's right here, getting into your container of tea, your bag of tea." And he was holding his own hand, as if it were the thief, and said, "I was about to steal this tea. If it weren't for, my mindfulness that caught myself, you should cut off my hand," he said. And so this is an example of, the importance of mindfulness.
他爷了没记，是爷了没记，悄在前不因，我们就短暂没吧，没我们呢，我们同当车吧，我们就确实他爷了没记，悄在是爷没记是的啊，他才科学啥的，爷去马中嘛，他了没，他爷没记，像在我们都科学啥嘛，爷去马中嘛，先嘛就让我下吧，他了爷了没记，是了学啥的。
Mhm.
乔在进步，我等于听那他乔在进步的是，我等于我们就队长没，我们就先没关系呢，他在我们都要是没事要嘛的是，他没关系呢，
Mhm.
但是先嘛就让我可能小要嘛做这个，没关系呢，我们就是没事，没把这我们把身体没我们别的，我们的通常吃没事，我们就没别通常吃吧没吧，吃吧他些嘛这吧去呢，嘛英吧去呢，英美很好，他讲过的是。人民银行的英美种朝鲜人家不送错谁哇，啊种是的，这种咱那么就送这类的，人民银行的英美种朝鲜人
Areba?
的，人民银行的英美种
Zin
人民
ne
币吧，人民
nang la
英美
ding
用
ne
嘛币
chong.
吧，
Mhm.
英美种朝鲜人家不送错是，我朝鲜人家不送错了，是吧？他这里这种多年的丹麦人这时间多，这个电脑就要参加的，然后空。
Uh,
这个。
Damaraza Dumba. Mhm.
Tamara za seten rigon denap jubas denap juba.
Chupa. Mhm.
No da ti je zon ka ba ke la ma den ba se. Tere
Mm.
tik son ba. O tere
So, Jay Tsongkapa Damaraza Gilama.
lo ma de.
Loma.
O
Yeah,
da ma
Loma.
je zon
Jay
ka ba.
Tsongkapa Loma. Jay Tsongkapa re Damaraza re.
Je zon ka ba.
Okay.
Je zon ka ba rigon ti tu ya pe ba ma
Re re re. Mhm.
ba tin
Mhm.
rigon pe da ma za kun de chu chu ti ro.
Mhm.
Tambo ya ul pe rigon pe ba.
Mhm.
我第一开始送的他，我的条件人要不送错，是我的旅行那的条件人把下巴的不送错有的是，
Mhm.
我们通常前面我把错送到我的才掌握下来。
So as it says, then, not allowing for even a moment of distraction. And as it said, the main thing is to allow awareness to simply rest in naturally and without contriving anything, sustaining the attention of undistracted awareness. So then it is said in Mahamudra, not being an object of the mind. Do not meditate, as there is nothing whatsoever to meditate upon, even as tiny as an object. So here, there's not even, or not even as tiny as an atom. So there's no object, there's no focal point, there's no visualization. The mind is simply resting in unelaborated awareness, just allowing the mind to naturally settle, to drop into its own a resting of awareness without any point of reference, without any object of visualization. So this is a meditation in this context. So um, parting not from the point of non-meditation is the supreme meditation. So again, there is no intentional thing upon which to meditate. The meditation itself is simply sustaining undistracted attention with nothing to fixate upon. So as is also said by Dharmaraja, Drikung Dharmaraja, who is the 10th Drikung Kagyu throne holder and also the Lama of Je Tsongkhapa, rest the Je Tsongkhapa gi Lama
말에
Dharmaraja,
똥로만
Drigu Je Tsongkhapa gi Lama re, Je Tsongkhapa Dharmaraja gi Loma re.
그래.
Yeah, tendra lao yin.
제 종가 담마라자 제 종가 봐 라마라와.
Yeah, tendra lao yin.
야용.
So he's just okay. So again, Dharmaraja was the Lama of Je Tsongkhapa. Je Tsongkhapa was the
다
disciple of
저거 라비아
Dharmaraja.
티티소 드레스 양대.
So the point being this, he was of this time, this era. And he said, within undistractedness or no, within the state of non-clinging, sustaining non-distraction, this is the fully perfected meditative absorption of Mahamudra.
tene je zong se tene tu chung chi la yi la kom ta tari jik par ze gom la tu war ke jolam tam chi ngar ke chemba dure chis wata jolam tam chi te chen she den go res mala re pe zong do khar se na ro cha nian do sem la das ro wa ni na da cha sen lang be ke sha ba ni wa do ba wa ti choma sem das 튼삼 maybe 계절이 세바데 튼삼도 믹스 요 말스 계절때 냠나이 세바다 셈바 마이 와친 와 고멜라레 같은 냠나 치효산도 튼삼 maybe 계절이 나시 쳔바 도레치스 레 탐보 발라 남토 만도 조바셰 용스 와다 레 탐보 녜더리 슈인바 남토 만도 조바셰 용스 오도 데 중시 덴베다 네베다이 세바데 독자 말스 데 용텐레스 요지 네베다레스 네바 미베 콘토 남토 지시 모마진 바자얀 토셔바니 소데 네바 마치베 고라 남토 카시 지나데 모마진에 바자얀 쇼레스
So then, as it says, as thus said, meditate in short sessions. So again, the instruction is to have frequent meditation, but short in duration, short session, and carry on all activities between the sessions, also with constant mindfulness as before. And so, as Jetsun Milarepa says, whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down at all times to sustain undistracted mindful attention is the practice, and that there's no specific meditation and post meditation. There isn't actually any such thing as the, between sessions, because the practice is carried over into all activities, sustaining mindful full attention. And in such a way, all activities are brought on to the path of virtue, or everything becomes the activity of virtue when sustaining undistracted mindful attention. So then it says, in doing so, for beginners, thoughts will seem to proliferate extensively. So and by meditating in this way, as he said before, it can seem at first like there's an increase of thoughts, but this isn't bad. This isn't something to see as a problem. In fact, it's a good sign. It indicates, as it says here, a small degree of mental stability. So this is actually a sign of accomplishment. It's a sign that the mind is actually developing the ability to abide and therefore see just how prolific the activity of discursiveness actually is.
这即将南托那所是出南多话抗拒公司嘛，但那常常南托那所网站没那出吧，没那这个总有了，可是呢，也给帮了这样解释，也给帮了没同站没得解个意思，那就是什么这样查是，那就是你们那情什么站没得那么解释个意思。我说我听着用心把这，那等出那多话抗拒公司嘛，确实把这公司把这钱呢。 但
Mhm.
我信不的是我信吧去，先买英吧去，他先买英吧去，他原因说那的能跑题往学了学的，我买英吧去呢，进去你就我信了，检验推嘛学了，检验也嘛学了，是检验说从的能跑往学了学吧，我
Mhm.
的嘛学了吧去呢就进我送的，啊，从是真的送的是样就是应该做行，是吧？他是
Mhm.
应该说讲的这个是，参加
Mhm.
的是应该说讲非较行这个，我的呢，我他就请这个啥的。
That's all.
嗯
So then it says, before you have mental stabilities, all thoughts arise. All thoughts that arise remain scattered and unrecognized. So there are all sorts of thoughts that arise, which in the mind, which is normal. So as Jetson Milarepa has said, just like the diversity of spring flowers or summer flowers that blossom in a vast meadow, there are all sorts of things that appear in the mind of a meditator. And prior, it is always the case that there's so much discursiveness. It's just that they're seen. We recognize for the first time just how anything and everything can arise in the mind. So we have to recognize with mindful awareness, we see all of the thoughts. Nonetheless, if a myriad of thoughts proliferate, make sure to recognize whatever fluttering thought arises. So the key here is awareness that recognizes, and do not, not falling under the influence of the thoughts, not getting caught up in or following after the thoughts. If it says, thus, with undistracted mind, recognize each fluttering thought one after the other, and never allow your mind to scatter. As you take a short rest and meditate again in this way, the thought-free mind abides in pristine clarity by the thoughts themselves serving as the holding point for the mind. So, and he said, if, for instance, there is a lot of activity or discursiveness, you can also allow yourself to rest, to rest for a moment and then to like focus the mind again.
tene te yang se dar gong be ke to kwa ni sim zi ke tian to ma song wa ma song ne se do mi le ne ba che o se da do mi le ne ba che ko re zong ko sa wa da a to kwa nam to to sim zi ya tian chi song zhe ma le zong ko sa re
Mhm. So essentially here, as it says, with the thought-free mind abides as a pristine clarity by the thoughts themselves serving as a holding point. So the awareness sees the thoughts clearly, but the thoughts themselves become like an object of the meditation, but without getting entangled with them, without following after or endowing them with any real meaning. It just becomes something that is seen by awareness without any fixation.
我当你把的这是，但你把路吧，但长跑的这样吧，你把路吧的吧，
Hmm.
我真的，但你把路吧，这开始呢，中国大长二长这是，中国制作但中国现在路的趟子的吧，我这
Hmm.
我对大堂的你嘛那一旦是几不起是，我真的路线拖呢，西巴让路下是，但路线拖进来真的西巴的，让路这样一来没几吧，路的下是，我的这样一来没几吧，这下
Hmm.
过的送多。
So then it says, maintain the body posture and gaze as before by relaxing your body and mind. Let your awareness be relaxed and released in its own place. So here, this is the section now of loosening. So the instruction is to have, the posture, just as has been explained for the other other sections, and also the gaze in the same way, and to mainly let the mind relax into the awareness itself, released into its natural state in the dimension of thinking nothing, it says. So it's the same objective as with focusing.
听讲呢，他买英吧了，钱吧，有在前边给钱吧，这生个话些，娘家说的，他都在娘那去的呢，他些吧这生个是的，在南头些他没，在前头这下当这边都这生个是娘家给的是，接
Mhm.
的是，我的呢生意做这南看的，生意他做吧是呢。 Drupal 参当车的，Drupal 是没读啥的，这有没大话切吧是了，他说参当车的嘞，健康那什么的，Drupal 车的嘞，我
Mhm.
Drupal 车吧，南看那有，他南看讲是南看那有，南看的了，他们是他有嘛哇，那这些亲戚都有嘛哇。我在
Mhm.
那里南北样子，江苏写当没错心思，我在江苏那里的是，江苏现在他江苏的等于差不多了，因那在人上看的那地数那，他我们中国去那他江苏在那里呢，在内部的内部内头学啥了吧？江苏
Mhm.
当时写的是呢，他写的是唐伯的，我唐话唐话唐是没错是，没错是呢，在看多少本的，这个拿着样子也是没错是呢，没错是呢，他在没错编码写有了吧？编码等
Mhm.
damk 那解读，那 damk 中国个嘛吧？
Mhm.
我等 damk 那解决了，等 damk 中国个嘛，等那一天，但那种可能那那点了，可能中国就忙过吧，没错编码那些。我的上月节呢说的吧，是上月节呢说的是，是我从那块说是的，这样的没见，原因是没是我在这样都没些呈现，然后在人把钱等到要找下药嘛的，原因是没是，原因从哪这块嘛的也是，接了一
Mhm.
阵子看不了下是吧？这接了一阵子看不过来也是。
Mhm. So, so then, as it says, without being distracted from this dimension, as you maintain constant mindfulness and experience of mind being vividly pristine will dawn. So there can be, as one practices the experience of becoming completely thought-free, and the mind becomes very vivid. And this is a state in which one is abiding with awareness completely free of the ordinary discursiveness of mental proliferation. And so, as it says, the nature of mind is unelaborated. So, unelaborated also can be translated as without mental proliferation. So, the essence of the mind itself is free of the discursiveness of proliferation. It is like the dimension of space being without boundary or center, and it is like an ocean. So, it is like an ocean, and that it is, the depths of the ocean are profound and deep and very stable, irregardless of whatever it is that is appearing on the surface. The depths of the ocean is like very stable, and it is like a crystal being really vivid, really clear, or like a flower. So a flower is like, for instance, the like a lotus flower that arises or is born out of the mud, but is completely unstained by the mud from which it grows. So even though the mind dwells within samsara, it is completely unstained by the faults or the muck of samsara. It is awake, naked, and clear. And it is neither focused on nor distracted from. So there's no fixation. It is just abiding in clear, vivid awareness without becoming distracted, without particularly fixating or focusing on anything. And it says, accustom yourself to this as much as possible. So, as much as you can sustain this recognition of this naked awareness, habituate it as much as you can.
但呢，他这当的对路比较抽时间多，这可惜他
Mhm.
自己的店面去工退，像我现在店吧，店面有了店面吧，挺难挣多，这对路比较抽才开始是呢。他这里门头是汤不在门头，你把
Hmm.
这没什么事，
Menu,
门头
misam.
没什么，没什么
Mhm.
事，什么的，
Mhm.
希望的门头没什么，没什么，没公司，没公，希望的没
Mhm.
公，我把它没气势，当时没这个没气势，
Mhm.
主管他让说学是那有了。
Mhm.
哦，听对这汤博特那他门头是那他人特别能做项的，他解决嘛的也是。
Mhm.
哦，门头是没什么事，他这些吧，他说秋嘛做的提，刚才咱们俩嘛就去过来是说秋做过嘛的是，我这些吧他让这个的是咱们俩的，他们些吧是那他这里，他们些吧，我听他们些吧咱们俩去过来是，他这
Mhm.
些吧才我真的，嗯。 مثلا 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 تام آن که تیریو دو ما اونم تازه یون گیری زنی شد سه چطوری
Mhm.
اینجاست وقتی چی گم هرس کن
Mhm.
وقتی چطوری چی نه کو یا کو یوم هرس نه تا سو دیره وا
Mhm.
وقتی چی گم هرس منو مثلا مثلا زوم بدره وا
Mhm.
مگم مثلا تا چی زوم بانی اینجا گم یا دا تی چی گم هرس سه ماچو باشا با تی دیگه هرس منزه
So gandai me gom sena. Oh yeah. Mhm.
东半尼
Mhm.
公庙，然后好像当年就在公庙路说东半尼公庙那用多，
Mhm.
我
Mhm.
的旅行这个嘛，是香港所下的，等这个也
Mhm.
是，没
Mhm.
公司，没去现在当然这个呢，明天早上到时嘛不行，听到下的呢，到时去的呢，这样我们的要不念头嘛是吧？
Mhm.
我这到时去嘛的也是，让所
Mhm.
说现在我但是嘛就把题，那让所说呢，等人家呢，听俺他讲过的也是。
Mhm. It's gandai upatako. Yeah. Mhm. All right. So then we have, for instance, the six dharmas of Tilopa, which are don't recall, don't imagine, or don't imagine or don't think, or don't actually literally the word is mind, don't mind or think, don't meditate, don't examine, and just allow the mind to naturally settle or just rest in allow the mind to rest in its own place. So the first one, don't recall, is referring to not following after the thoughts concerned with the past, so not reflecting or recollecting, and not imagining is referring to not so not trying to fabricate any sort of like present moment type of awareness, but just allowing the mind to allowing the mind to rest in ordinary awareness, or ordinary fundamental mind. Don't think is like the mind that is anticipating some, avoiding falling into some anticipation for future thoughts to arise. So don't like prepare for the arising of thoughts, essentially. Don't meditate means you're not fabricating any kind of feigned experience of meditation. Sometimes there's this thought like, oh, I'm meditating on emptiness, and there's some sort of fabricated mind state of emptiness. So don't meditate, is what is meant there. Don't investigate or examine, which means don't have any hesitation thinking, oh, is this right? Is this not right? What is happening in my meditation? Have I attained it? Have I not attained it? So don't examine, and just allow the mind to be natural, just rest. And this is referring to just allowing the mind to naturally settle, not contriving anything, just rest in awareness.
等等，他第一我们家也是干嘛这些事。
So now we can meditate in this way for some moments together.
他现在的现在可惜他弄钱是的，弄米是的，你往想多。
Mhm,
其他弄钱这种多少，可惜他在欧洲嘛，他绕爬到欧爬，然后他绕什么当，
mhm.
我听着这个他现在他了，做这些，我听着去下去，差不多。
So then there's also sometimes explained the method, the two methods of using the breath and not using the breath as an object. So when we're using the breath of an object, then one is just using the inhalation and the exhalation of the breath as the object upon which to place one's attention. And so this is also a method.
我当天都这种样子，这女在一起，别强的，但是先买嘛做起更多。我这
Hmm.
这我怕着呀，那什么当错着呀什么的，干嘛也来公园呢？他送到我这炸药叫起叫嘛的是，然后几克的，
Hmm.
没在看我炸的，俺把口气不腾气呢，这个嘛的是，可让
Hmm.
几可让我们当着特别疼着，我疼着怕送着呀，什么当。这叫
Hmm.
他们讲的声音呢，他这个说别讲的恐怕小熊那个这刚把这恐怕讲的这几波什么当，什么
Hmm.
先把小把起，我听着起
Hmm.
啊。แต่เลยก็เช่นบักเร่ยินดีมาจากสมาชิกของสมาชิกที่เราสมมติว่าเช่นบักเราสมมติมาทำอะไรเนี่ย
Mhm,
ว่าที่รู้เช่นนี้ถ้าว่า做什么呢？他เช่นนี้ว่าที่รู้ว่า做很多ที่说นะว่าที่รู้用多啊。
mhm. So in the sutras, it is emphasized that this practice of using the breath as an object to tether one's attention to, and it is said that it's important that the breath is just completely natural in this case. That when you exhale, you're aware of the exhale. When you inhale, you're aware of the inhale, but it isn't kind of contrived, or the breathing isn't contrived or fabricated in any way. So it's not as though you are breathing in a way that like then makes you sound. You're not sort of exaggerating the breathing in any way or doing some sort of, breathing that makes a sound. But you're just letting the breath, you're
我对
just
干嘛也来公园呢？他是种东西。
so this is in for instance, Kamashila's stages of meditation. And you're just allowing the breath to occur as it does naturally, and just being aware of the inhalation and the exhalation. And then in activities, then one practices being very aware of movements, such as when walking, just the simple act of placing one foot in front of the other without thinking about other things. Or when one's eating, one is simply engaging in the act of eating food and is completely there with the process of eating without thinking about other things. And so essentially it is here the practice of sustaining mindful attention on what is actually happening with the body as it's happening. So just being, breathing and knowing that you're breathing, walking and knowing that you're walking, eating and knowing that you're eating.
我真的这弄到那个可以那边强调，我说说那全吹风那了，他说可以那什么蛮有去呢？第四路路的去天路去的样子是可说先路的，在你们那第是那个吧，那先路的，
Mhm.
在那到现场把门去的了，在天天的有没有了？平时的话，这我们接触过了。
Mhm. And this is such a huge support to the meditation when we practice sustaining mindful awareness and activities in such a way that we're just really present with what we're doing, without becoming distracted by the thinking process. The mind becomes relaxed, it becomes naturally concentrated, and we're not distracted, we're not caught up in the process of thinking, which really becomes a huge support to the to the practice of meditation itself.
真的很啊，确认在我们红中听着在，写下在用多他我们
Hmm.
说，那就要我们去那边的去的，我判断要在红，然后听着什么当呢？他听着一个那把钱弄多少钱对吧？是，我
Hmm.
的我多少钱对吧？听着，你们去下，俺听着用多。
So then another method of using the breath as the object of our focus is practicing the Vajra recitation. So that means that we're putting the like mantra of Om Ahung to the process of breathing. So there's just the mental labeling of Om with the in-breath, the mental labeling of Ah with the pause at the navel, and the mental labeling of hung on the out breath. And so in that way, this attachment of the syllables to the rhythm of the breath helps the mind to stay tethered to the breath. And so this is what is referred to as the Vajra recitation.
我真的对罗别太重要了。罗曼节我通了，明天那是他叫成看干嘛那意思的。罗曼节我通了，明天弄剧中这块剧了，或者是大堂堂的甚至他妈的，这块俺他明天玩的剧是哪个了？
Kung kale
哦，
so na
他
yela yo
他是
marawade.
他是那他重视的，可是他不会，
Loma.
对罗别可重视的，有意思。他和他真的老几。
Kung ta chikchina
嗯。
de chakchin gangama
呀，
logo like.
这种人就晓得嘞，大当堂的甚至他妈耶，这个俺推没得玩的军事，我的呢，弄就说这个军了玩是，我弄送的，
Mhm.
这个军了玩是，大当
Mhm.
堂的甚至他妈耶，大当的大当那里甚至当在这么的，我听着甚至他妈耶是，他妈
Mhm.
是的，这是可以的哇，王博的，
Mhm.
我听着闹了，大当成甚至，这个俺没得玩的军事。但是说俺在那嘛头还是在你们他们那说起呢，我真的听那他们去过的也是很多。
Mhm. Mhm. So in the Ganges Mahamudra, Tilopa says essentially, for those of like in lesser capacity who are not able to just abide in the essence without method, then through applying, the various kind of method gazes and methods for holding the winds or using the breath or the wind as object, then one should sustain attention in such a way that this then allows one to develop or arrive at the ability to sustain intrinsic awareness or to abide within the recognition of intrinsic awareness. So essentially, this is kind of referring to something of this nature, applying this method of using the wind or the winds or the breath to become one's object to help develop sustained awareness.
我真的到现在去工厂在在毛毛的开始拉算，我
Mhm,
听草嘛的那在人民些工作国家加油嘛的叔叔工呢，叔叔可的工他的工出来压的呢，这做我去工呢，的压
mhm,
个的。在
mhm,
上马开的是什么当地呢？在我们头来用这个的话，但
mhm,
说这个抗战啊，说马达是可以
mhm,
电线隔绝，可以电力隔绝，可以龙电隔绝的，他我听着，
mhm,
这马达是用这个的
mhm,
话。我
mhm,
听你的叔叔开的干那的，叔叔去你们去的，什么年头的开的呀？但那这了做起
mhm,
呢？我听
mhm.
讲的口家，我们那这个这上头，
Vasudha.
嗯。
So when it comes to meditating on calm abiding or shamatha, there are all these different methods here. But the main thing is that, there are these such different, diverse capacities and sort of dispositions and different propensities that we all have. And so it is definitely the case that maybe some methods are preferential to some people over others. And so there are that one method that is, especially effective or beneficial for one person may not be the most beneficial or effective method for another person. So the important thing is to to experiment with these and see, what method it is that feels most natural and the most beneficial for you. And so for some, for instance, they really love to use the object of the breath as a meditation. For others, they really like to just sustain attention or awareness with no object. And so there can be, really different experiences with these methods for different people. So the main thing is to try them out and to see what works best for you. And you can primarily use that method, that feels kind of most effective and easiest.
وتنين أزوان كان كهيس كم جايس.
So now we can meditate together again for some minutes.
다 되는 영화 좀 냠내 되는 다 자신의 되는 공항 홍두 되네 다 삼성 갈레티스 카르탄 이 말이스 게 소자 어떤 유령 부분이나 되는 친구들스 삼성 전고인 코리아노 고인 코리아노 고 코리아노 저 여러 되는 시스템 때문에 이제 너무 좋다는 제 사람한테 주치했대
Mhm.
되게 메소드 시작 그래스
Mhm.
되네 제통다 제 나도
Mhm.
남도 망보 초然后 先弄地所在的他们就简单陈主钱那的是偏向的这
Mhm.
你忙不陈主忙不用的这什么的用心了什么了的那边头的才有的什么
Got it?
的
Ne mambo?
你忙不苦呀
Ah, Nico.
陈主多那什么的是用心这
Mm.
啥样心那的可的
Mhm.
他呢他的就像他这样子，这两年起红的，三三但你忙不用拉黑么东西啥，别人看不到你给工作去，就是这需要有办法团队的，
Mhm.
团队签这个，但俺三三那多忙差，团队拉嘛看忙不用多，那这看不这给工作把家的错
Mhm.
是主要的错是当，
Mhm. Mhm.
团队签那的偏向啥的。
That's all that. So when you're really practicing calm abiding intensively in this way intensively and really meditating for extended periods, sometimes there can arise some sort of disturbances or the kind of difficulty that comes from overexertion in meditation. And it's important at that time to allow yourself to rest, to maybe take a day of rest or so. And sometimes it can be that, there is some wind increase and the mind feels kind of unstable or, sort of emotionally erratic. And at that time, too, it's important to, and if in particular, if there's a lot of kind of intensified discursiveness or, an onslaught of agitation, to kind of do what you can to uh, rest the mind and to kind of, eat heavy foods and so on. Sometimes it can be the opposite, like that there's a lot of sloth and torpor or very strong propensity for sleepiness, and at that time you can eat less food and kind of make yourself cooler, wear lighter clothing, or be kind of expose yourself more to coolness, and when there's too much the opposite, when there is like a lot of discursiveness and agitation, then you can close. So in the case of sleepiness, like open all the windows and let in some cool, fresh air, and have light, coming in. And if it is the opposite, that there's a lot of agitation and discursiveness, you can close all the windows, make your space dark, wear warm clothing, and sort of settle, the mind, eat like heavy foods and such.
他这里现在农民社就是属于嘛，农村
Mhm.
农民社，农民社那他这当农族，没些农的，就说没把电看样，没把钱呢，这现在让我下呢，提纲了，他娘们其他的那多农做过嘛的，收这吃着那做看样，没钱买家花钱呢，真的说说去，把娘们讲了，这现在都讲了，娘们去，真的去的，这了的农民社那学啥了。
Mhm. So he went through, the practice with, for instance, using the breath, not using the breath. So not using the breath is in this case, there's no object. The object is awareness itself. It's the attention, sustaining attention without meditating on any particular form, sound, smell, taste, the sensory. There's no kind of point of attention that involves the engagement of the senses. It's just sustaining attention, the attention itself, or sustaining awareness of awareness itself, without any other focal point.
真的，嗯。 전에 다제 신한테 지도는 네바는 바신데 다제 라요라 데로베 차차 강가만 나온 레네 탐보 종롱 밥치신 종롱 밥치센다 다 레시
Mhm,
서로 맞춤 바വും 기대
mhm,
레네 탐보 종롱 밥치신 파르트 추모 강가 텐지 파스 파르트 추모 강가다 세칼레 칼렌도 들어와 아
mhm,
타마 춘천 마비제 근제스 타마데 춘천 마비제 근제스나 추상마트 점소나다 밤로 그리 남포티시 소나 대 공간 소래 그냥
mhm,
我真的挺运动，这是现在去人把送东西，我在
mhm,
这里下雨了。
mhm. So in practicing calm abiding, there are different stages of development. So and these really accord with how Tilopa describes it in the Mahamudra Upadesha, or the Ganges Mahamudra, where he says that in the beginning, the experience is like that of water falling, a waterfall falling from a high cliff. So it's like the thoughts are fast, they're uninterrupted. It's like a continuous onslaught of discursive thought. In the middle, he says, it becomes sort of like the wide, steady flow of like the Ganges River, of a wide river. And in the end, he says, it's like the meeting of mother and child, like the water of the river opening up into the expansive mother of the ocean. And so that is kind of the point at which real stability arises in the practice.
我真的当俺做的朗通的嘞是朗多，真的朗通的啦，在这里多学长，学长的你是这边的多，你是
Mhm.
真了，你是真了。
So then next is special insight of Vipassana, which begins on page 25.
他才开始中毒，才能他伦理中国人啊，打死他伦理中国人那么球队的几个学的，你妈那些也是的。真的，他就当天那么球队的啊，今天中午才中毒啊，开始中现在刚把多节几冲所见呢，就当年内去弄，现在弄草马草完的对红个也是。
Nyamle.
냠 내들 냠 내들
Mhm,
냠 내스 농제
mhm,
요사르와다 이게 어디
mhm,
참마노 참마 냠도 소 내용 그래 좀 교사래
mhm,
완전되레스 데
mhm,
라바 데 냠비야 데데와 냠비야 쳐자지는 매냠 그놈도 완전 그래서 매냠 그놈 새로와
mhm, mhm.
我真的给这也长波起那这总体可能所望对红热是这里边的我是呢前去是他前头就要弄这有了我这望对个热是
Mhm.
Umba di spajaya da china tene chabji se sugo sama cha de chabji kino to want de res te mai na se so di na xie so na pie zhong xie so want de res wo tene lu
Gomtati,
mai
uh,
na se di na
mhm, mhm,
xie want de res da na pie te mo mo zhuo zhuo ge wa te men zhuo de
mhm,
so pen ge res so want de res
mhm,
我的呢，但旅行都要不说这样听听呢，旅内说往都做个类似旅行的节了。
mhm,
我在从头那那么听旅的，这种东西的种
mhm,
的那么去旅游了，头那东西。
mhm. So as it says then with insight, it says maintain the body posture, the key physical points as before. And so the key physical points are the of the posture are the 7-point posture of Vairocana. And regarding the 7-point posture of Vairocana, Lord Jigten Sumgön says that each of the positions of the 7 points have the function of pacifying or sort of subjugating or controlling like in particular the different types of winds. So for instance, mm, the Nyamle
年内是，
Gilungje.
但年内弄是这个啥的话，当然好没两的两之类的。
Okay. Chikchina de okay. Um
那弄这当马
Nyamle.
的上头，年内弄是这个啥的话，这个弄同步的我们
De
的
de Mardo Gilung Marwa.
马来，图是这是图
Tursa
是
Gilung Mare.
弄
Hmm.
那个的马来。
Yeah. Tene ti nyam le ki. Ti nyam
소시
ki dunda te pesa nyamba ni ki dacha
말에
re.
가고 냠스 민 저거 냠도 있으라 봐.
Yeah, okay. Lasso.
제가 이제
Tata.
도시는 거나 쇼표사 난 도시는
No,
맞지.
no, nga hako song tata. So, first of all, the posture of the legs folded in the Vajra position have the effect of bringing the equalizing winds under control. And then the hands resting in the posture of meditative equipoise in the lap have the effect of bringing the fire winds, the digestive winds under control. The spine being completely straight has the effect of bringing the force winds under control. The chin slightly tilted down has the effect of bringing the ascending winds under control. And the shoulders, shoulders kind of being down and the chest protruding has the effect of bringing the pervasive winds under control. The gaze of the eyes being directed toward the tip of the nose has the effect of bringing the consciousness under control. And the overall kind of position of the body has the effect of bringing the body under control.
네, 다 눈이 주고 맞다. 지스 자베 기타통 번능 남가라 다서 번능 남가세나 다 나세 테카 번 남갈 다
Mhm,
딘지 교사리 다 망보양 토다고 쇼서 말이
mhm,
어때 지셰파 중지 나지스 여봐야 디스 템바르치네 셈랑로 토데 샤베스 셈랑로 토베 샤베스 어때 토로 나나 샤고레스 셈타 어때 티샤 샤두티 셈페네 네베 뭐제라도 어때 셈페네 제 뭐제 다나 sempre nuovo generato rana ran lei para da sempre nuovo che lui do ya bo sta su da 거지
mhm,
어때 도 전에 대단한 공항핑 레이버 타지 소한테 sempre nuovo che lui do ya bo 저때 뭐도 다 뭐좀 요 말타 sempre 뭐좀 어제 뭐좀 미바데 라 타지 거래서
mhm,
그때 공다 레이 타지 sempre 뭐좀 미비 어때 sempre 뭐좀 미지 어떻게 sempre 뭐좀 미비 셰바 제 생에 제를 향해 시용스 Te
mhm,
majung wad da lama la surba yang ne yang da me gombe nyam to ransar sheba ne ransar shes nam to nambar to pa ransar shes wa nam to da pa ransar shin to res
mhm.
kenes this
Okay.
sem ji ran lo so de zhe je ne ba ta da shin ne se shin ne yin wa da de
Mhm.
shin ne sen do
So the here it says, but now focus your gaze straight ahead into space. So rather than the gaze being directed off the tip of the nose, with this practice, the gaze instead is directed straight in front of you, not looking at things, but just directed into space without kind of becoming scattered or looking to different things, but just pointed into the space directly in front. And then it says, with your awareness slightly sharpened, let your mind be relaxed and released in its natural state. And then when your mind's in pristine clarity, when your mind abides in pristine clarity, look directly at its nature and discover how its nature is. Mind looking thoroughly at mind itself. So looking into the essence of awareness itself, then really become curious, question, what is this mind? And really looking well, in that state of meditation, examine until you find that there is no object called mind. There is no sort of thing that is identifiable that you can grab onto and identify as the essence of the mind. And so when it becomes clear that there is nothing to be recognized as mind, then this is the outcome of this kind of investigation. So having gained perfect certainty by meditating in this way, a clear yet indefinable state of awareness, which is pristine, vivid, and naked, will unfold. Until this happens, as you meditate again and again with supplications to the Guru, thoughts subside of their own accord, and mind abides one-pointedly relaxed in its own nature. So until this occurs, then again and again, relying with a mind of devotion upon the Guru, supplicating single-pointedly, then through this quality of devotions, thoughts will subside on their own, and the nature of awareness will reveal itself.
我的这些年意思，我的现在的话，
So
挺难的。
this is actually called abiding. Mm-hmm.
我的了，我第我呢，想起我今朝我先都打起，打是他马上就是没事，马上就没，他
Mm-hmm.
马上就来没事，没事都热了，蛮搞吧，但没事的在那安人他们那中国的热我有吧，
Mm-hmm.
热吧，西把热心爱接的嘛，啊，现在是满通去，但满通嘛，先不让我同样有嘛，在通去有吧。满用完用就对，但用多呀，是了有嘛当用呀，让一起讲。他就些用，是的，然后他就也先不他就是，是，但是没得呀，当做什么都是他就也就有啥哇，我
Mm-hmm.
这他就说呢，真的有了，我慢些吧，这上东西是吧？但上东西那上东，这野外的他就些多，我这
Mm-hmm.
说，这上面那种自己通我的了，上东西的也是。
Mm-hmm. So then, as it says, so this is calm abiding. Then, within that state of calm abiding in this dimension, the nature of mind itself is ineffable. It cannot be thought about or described in a certain way, but it appears so there's no definable thing, nothing that is found there to identify as the essence of mind itself, but it appears to be clear and unceasing mind. So it is clear, it is vivid, it is sustained with unbroken continuity, and whatever, all sorts of things arise, within that. As you remain pristine, vivid, and nakedly clear, it is to be seen by not seeing, or to be experienced by dinidi tongya.
这上东西是上东，
Yeah, okay. It is to be seen by not seeing, to be experienced by not experiencing. There's something you are confident or certain about. Nonetheless, it is ineffable, unidentifiable. This is what is called special insight. So this is the division here. There's this distinction being made between calm abiding and special insight.
我真的，他城市出了，现在是那边弄了这么的昆明呢，是那边弄这么，他那边送我他那点的昆明呢，两节基本就我他说没事，我他两节基本是米两节基本，从那路多我的是，他说做他说你们去过去了，我他是这样的，看到原天没见一个这别趟这是我他看到的，但这里是先看到的样有嘛哇。
Mm-hmm.
我在原天的是没谁家，他点都也有嘛的，是一个有嘛的，是别趟车是。
Mm-hmm.
Marı mato na ngak chung mi sta marı mato da la karşı na so denu do se laptop ya maris
Mm-hmm.
我在电路边那路把中了，真的敲在进步的是，我看他们的一级就有面是，我看他们的一级就有面，电路我也这样电的米是，我但电路我电都没都是，但那路
Mm-hmm.
你们去呢，但你们是用过的是，我在这里面打咱们的呢，这说你们这结果学的是，我在你
Mm-hmm.
们这说结果的是，兄弟们也得把年龄限制。我在兄弟们也得把年龄限，我就他妈的水里。嘛女生是我就他妈的手机的嘛特个嘛的，先进来了的，他全让先的运动现在的，老是年要嘛的是的。
Mm-hmm. So then, as it says, the great Brahmana Saraha here has said, focusing closely on the Guru's words, if one obediently strives, Brahmana, there is no doubt that this will culminate in co-emergence. So as it has no color, attributes, words, or analogies, I simply recognize but cannot speak of it. So by relying on the pith instructions of the guru, the mind's true nature, the co-emergent essence, becomes revealed, and yet it is nothing that can be explained or identified as a particular thing. It has no color, it has no defining attributes, no shape, and so forth, and cannot be spoken of directly. It can't be explained except for through signs and symbols. It can only be alluded to. So as it says, this very nature of mind that is pristine and vivid, free from the extremes of arising, ceasing, and abiding, is called Mahamudra, as well as the truth body. Kapar Bardu Loyin?
나 대왕조 탐바데 수이 만위 삼세 대와스. 왕조 탐바 텐데 수이 만위 삼 다들 말왕딩도.
Oh, so yeah, then yeah. So like a young girl's pleasure in her heart, to whom can this sublime Lord be told? So just as Tilopa has also said, Naropa, there is nothing that I can show to you to identify clearly to you. It is this, but no one can show or indicate what it is. You have to realize it for yourself. It is something that has to be discovered from within through one's own practice. It is only to be discovered by the one who is looking. It cannot be revealed or directly shown by someone else, only alluded to. And so there is no one that can say, oh, it is exactly like this. This is exactly what you have to do. This is how you discover precisely. One can be directed, but when it comes to realizing, it has to be realized directly for oneself.
근데 다 샘jen가 내솜당 제와스 제와요 말스 가과 가로 다 제용자 샘들이 제 생각도 대야요 말봐. 생각도야 요 말에 가디나 저 요반도 요로 다 내산들아레세 대요 말다. 와대 jen가 내솜 타당 제와스 세 승에 제야예레와 대가라 차자 신보사 다 차자 신보선 드레스 jen가 내솜 대제바. 초크세나다 다 차자 신보선나 드레스. 제 잡드면에 봐 테코나 니 기주레스 내내 차자 신보디 내내 체메 망고다 완전 차자 신보레스 어제 체메 당 고요 말스 다 샘도 체메 고요 말스 예도메케 당아서 데케닝 볼라브라 데바레 예비닝 보드라 체메 고요 말스 데라 가타 드로바미스 어단데 코랑 연탄탄 대한데레스 어제 인도 가주도 드로주 말스 람다 녀보 이마이스 어다 람데 샘코랑 오라 테닉 말스 내내 상지 끊고요. 어다 샘크네로 야보 뭐시에 손는데 상지 탐지 거레스 내 연태고다 상지 연태 상마 당대한데 현정을레스 된 투지 드롭스 내 연태 탐지 투지 드롭스 어다 전주 정도 어ten도 tenang da te yo da tendu yin nga zo kan ju de si la yo da nga zo ti ne lo ngo ma xin chui so ro xia ten ngo ma xin chui so le de la so so da ngo xie ba qi guo xiu le 我这几岁没大这边中药，那边马东一线通，是的工，身边马东上街通是我的，我的绿的通图标，我做这几个的。
So Milarapagi ngarang de namshe matong
我
yeshi
这同
tong
学们都
dewa
是那种马
laso.
东，因为一些通都是。
Kutsek mare wa ngarang rang.
啊，这这过那
Kutsek, yeah,
怎么前面
laso.
碰？
So then, as it says, this very nature of mind that is pristine and vivid, is free from the extremes of arising, ceasing, and abiding. It is called Mahamudra. So it can't be directly shown, and yet it is free from all extremes. It is free from arising. It isn't something that is born into being. It has been, because it has been primordially. It is unceasing. It doesn't have an end, some point of originating, some point of ending, and it cannot be concretely identified as abiding. And so therefore this ever-present but unidentifiable presence is called Mahamudra, as well as the truth body or Dharmakaya. Likewise, as it says in the utterly non-abiding Tantra of suchness, it is Mahamudra, free from stains. So it has this quality of being completely free from all stains, all defilement. It has nothing to negate and nothing to establish. It is never found. It is nothing it is free from stains because it is the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha nature that is primordially unblemished and primordially endowed with all of the enlightened qualities of awakening. And there's nothing within that, there's total perfection, nothing to reject and nothing to actively encourage, or nothing to adopt and nothing to discard. It is never found by paths and antidotes. So it is the intrinsic essence itself. It is simply a matter that it is not of recognizing it. So it isn't as though the path causes it to come into being, or that antidotes create something that wasn't there prior. It is simply that it wasn't recognized, but it has always abided as such. And it is the body of all the Buddhas. So when it is discovered, it is understood to be the embodiment of all the nature of all Buddhas, which is spontaneously accomplished. And it is endowed naturally with all qualities. It is the foundation of all qualities and is spontaneously present. So it is when this essence, this nature is not seen or recognized, there is the presence of delusion. So it is a matter of unveiling this true nature by not identifying with the mind of delusion, instead to identify with this intrinsic essence. So just as Milarepa says, I do not see consciousness, I see primordial awareness, and I do not see sentient beings, I see Buddhas.
와, 근데 언제 좀 말하자 그 정도. 난 좋아 이제 남시 투스. 난 좋아 이제 남시 여러 남시 데스. 남시
Non.
난 좋아 이제 난 좋은 거라 샘드라 난 좋은 거라.
Mm-hmm.
좋아 이제 남시 데스.
Mm-hmm.
마토트는 말해. 마토트는 말해. 레뇨몬 군지 시차이스. 마토트는 다 말해. 레뇨몬 탐지 시차레스.
Mm-hmm.
도바 나오나. 초크나스 도바 나오나 초크나. garbo yontian zoba jo, c'était
Like
garbo yontian.
Tokpa, Tokpa?
Namna chuk tongres chuk.
Uh-huh.
Dene garbo yontian tamchi zoba yongres, garbo tel dena, garbo yontian tamchi zodores.
Karpa Yonten. Uh-huh.
Garbo
Uh-huh.
yontian yoro.
Mm-hmm.
Yanta yon sanje yontian rong, ta gewe yontian tsama
Mm-hmm.
zodores.
Mm-hmm.
Om, mm,
So likewise, Jetson Milarepa says, this inwardly constantly kind of the movement of the inner mind, that is constantly sort of moving and shifting and changing, when not recognized, is experienced as consciousness. And it is the nature of ignorance through which forms the basis for all karma and afflictive emotions. But when it is recognized, it is seen to be the natural display of Dharmakaya, which is perfected with all of the wholesome qualities, all of the wholesome virtuous qualities.
dene da semni de riksum jemban de ka nyeba tongji guancho zom tans, da guancho zom da nga ta jin kor yimbes, da guancho zom da nga ta jin kor sama ta tsang de yores zong do.
Mhm,
Da jidang guancho zom de kan lu sang yo na sen na da peje men ten lu yin sa re. Da zi to sam gom zom xerab ze yora to sam gom zom xerab de. Nyam len chi ne, tobe xerab, zambe xerab, gombe xerab to nyam len yo go
mhm,
chi ne. Wa da pamo chwe ten lu no zong do. 我这做拉存的，那你们要过去，那得多块我去圈送呢，这上街是个嘞是。 我
Mhm.
这是江州王的金，这多把空去的，这上街家不要去，多把做
Karela?
多把做，我说那空去的这上街的是吧？我这
Mhm.
上街的多把空去把这上街家是要从大库个来是，
Mhm.
多把
Mhm.
空去把这，
Mhm.
我这就可能是就这个你的，就因为真的多把这拉不起啊，他多把空去那拉不起啊的了，这就叫什么鸡？
Mhm.
还有个种。
Mhm.
我这些呢，都话在蓝的起率，但是蓝的起率，它这里是电视有嘛，是吧？
Mhm.
我的电视没有嘛，那看不中，对，蓝电看中，这有嘛，是吧？这没办法
Mhm.
了，日本的穷多了，这日本生活日本的穷的是
Mhm.
这那托管没吧，托着也没吧，他托着也没吧，这些了，这跟头的家送了一种多，
Kare?
跟头的家送嘛，
Yene yang de
托管
oh
没吧，
tensa meba tokpa
我
meba sena?
托把人当托的噻，可托把没把卡里拿，你们俩可但在牛毛把咱托了说可以，嘎都也没把。
Ah. Mhm.
我对其他对，肯定是加不上嘛的意思。
Mhm.
我在泡沫这边就这么多，
Mhm.
我在这
Ah,
光桥上的加不着呀，成这意思。但你们呢？
de la nga de longten de la corona. E buye
啊，
la. Jela de pena maung pa chi
农村可
sungna
以有嘛？当然会有正常的嘛，他凶嘛的。他有嘛？
la
都什么这可得成绩写嘛？我这农村
la so gain nga de ga sa gain sana maung pa sungna de ni manorwa ha go a gichidu.
这
Yeah,
呀，
yeah.
这
La
这
so.
这用上上这农村的那绿农的是这什么都上上钱我都要。
La so ha go so. De ni garsi nga ting ma chik ti kasi buye chipa nang gandi chipa yimpa ti yila tes de la ya po ja sikirwa.
这
Yang
呀
na
呀，
chi ya came into la so.
嗯
Kain sana nga tata di jema de pena tensa tenda de tata ko giona mena nga tes de somyo gendu.
根据
Yeah.
这样的多话是咱们托管没吧啦，托管着也没吧，托管没
Uh-huh.
吧，我
Uh-huh.
这托管没吧的了，写了这根据是根据加不上来是的，
La sola. Mhm.
我这个是呢，托管的蓝的钱呢，起别
Mhm.
看不下去，没事有嘛，咱们钱看有了，
Mm,
我
mm.
点多少钱有嘛，这可怜穷我这块穷多的是，他这块穷有了，
Mhm.
我这托管没吧的，托管没写了，这根据的加不上去，
La so. La sola.
还各种，
Ah, go so. Pache. Dini the as this very naked nature of mind that is cognizant and empty is the definitive and absolute triple gem, as well as the mantras and mandalas and so on. So how can we think of it as being the absolute nature of the triple gem? So Pagmodrupa says that through the wisdoms, cultivating the three types of wisdoms, the wisdom that is cultivated through hearing, her study, the wisdom that is cultivated through contemplation, and the wisdom that is cultivated through meditation. If we practice well and these three types of wisdoms are developed, then this leads to direct realization, understanding. This direct realization is the nature of the Buddha. So the full manifestation or actualization of that realization is the ultimate refuge in the Buddha. And the understanding of the true nature of reality or suchness, that realization being brought onto the path becomes the refuge of the Dharma. And the unimpeded nature of kind of the kind of the guiding nature of the unimpeded nature of expression, where there's no, for instance, there's no teacher or Kempo who is indicating to us, oh, it is like this or it is like that. But the true nature of reality is revealing itself through the natural expression of Rigpa or intrinsic awareness, and that this experience is one that is unimpeded. This unimpeded nature is becomes the jewel of the Sangha. There, the unimpeded expression of awareness itself.
我都
Mhm.
今根据加不上嘛，对吧？
Mhm.
tene ta nga ta jin se jin ko se ta nga ina ta ti nga da ya so ina zo te nga zo sem do ya chi tro wa sha ta sem ni lo nyam na chi ti na de nga dong se ji ba sa re wo te sem ni ta chi wo te nyam na chi ya te ne jin ko re mon de ya te zo te ta so chong da so de rem chi na jin ko sem ko wo de to ya wo
Oh,
te
gong ta yang char test yeah yang char go
jin
ne
ko da si na da
nga 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 kan de in back on.
他雅天呢，他的雅天呢，说的，这可是他雅天呢，这说的你们俩起的，这起的他雅长期的基本的恰多说是你们俩先我内地呢，这雅
Mhm.
长期的了，这七八的有三八的雅长的了，
Mhm.
做雅长
Mhm.
下头是先那路多不起头哇。
Mhm.
我这是真的经过人啊，在哪一认识，都经过人在哪一的，这下子做的么？这下子做的先那路多是要起头的。我听的，我在拉说吧，应该是
Mhm.
我嗯。
So then, as it says, it is as well as the mantras and mandalas and so on. So by abiding within the unbroken continuity of an intrinsic awareness, by recognizing the true nature of the mind itself, this becomes like the perfection of all mantra. So it's like it that itself becomes the expression of mantra recitation. So from the relative perspective, the recitation of mantra serves the purpose of bringing one to this recognition of the true nature of the mind. But when one abides within the recognition of the true nature of mind, that is like the supreme mantra recitation. Same with the mandalas, meditating on the mandala or drawing mandalas, making sand mandalas and so forth, that this becomes like the ultimate expression of the mandala.
真的的，做我这几门来的，什么上级应用中是他们那边听的中什么那上级的是，忙着做吧，没搞中是忙不是做多过嘛的，什么中上级的中是嘛嘛的，
Mampo gare.
做多过嘛的，做吧忙不过嘛的是，
Mhm.
做吧忙不过个嘛的是，做吧有
Mhm.
了，
Mhm.
做米了，为了做起做米，下下个
Mhm.
月做吧。
Mhm. Mhm.
我在忙着做吧，没搞中是什么上级应用中是忙着做吧，没搞中是嘛嘛的边听的中是。
Mhm.
这相当那在车马地上对的啥的也是。
Mhm. And so, in realizing the true nature of mind, everything, all other manifestations and expressions of Dharma are contained within this. As Marpa says, or Milarepa says, recounts Marpa having said, if one realizes the mind, that is Buddha. One doesn't need to fabricate, many elaborations. It is simply that if you realize your mind, that itself is Buddha.
我到这里嘛，弄着到你们那么家来是光桥中间，半点钟让人一些接那种，军队对吧？这里强调水准的电脑是在工作上弄着的多。
Mhm.
当你也是的那样的搞错当，金色当，我到金色的，他和他讲他说我金色的这当显面是这个样子，金色样他把马的是，那么多 OK，那么多把色多，那他金色的重要啊，他和他讲那有了的，我真的我这金色的也是。我那经过去的，都对那sem是对，是我都对那 sem 对比出见的，sem 的对的有的什么的，
Mhm. Dilla jinsek tritue.
其实挺多，没多哎，
Injilamento
我的朋友能有几个？
cancer. Oh, mare. Okay, gongta. Ola de yeah, Rinchen kakar laso. So then in the victory of non-duality, it says the glories possessed by the triple gem are completely present in the primordial self-awareness alone. This shows the way of awakening that bestows bliss in one's mind stream. And then in the Hivadra Tantra, it says it is mantra recitations, it is austerity, and it is the burning generosity or fire puja. So again, all of the qualities of the kind of relative level Dharma practices are contained within this recognition of the true nature of the mind itself. So likewise, it is said in Gampopa's ornament of precious liberation, that we think of, fire puja, for instance, being this activity where we burn wood and different substances and have this elaborate practice, which we call fire puja. But the true meaning of fire puja is to burn away the discursive thoughts, is the burning up or the incineration of the discursive mind. Um, Dini de mandal chatsang lo yinbe. Mhm. So it is the beings and the mandala and the chief of the mandala. In brief, everything is reflection contained within the mind.
tene ta xie zong tene ta ta xie pa gi ji ta ta de xie pa gi ji di gang la de gu zong chang de res gi ji mai ke to la gu zong chang de is yi jie
Mhm,
yang ma zhuo ba qiu ke ta sem king wo ya wo zai da jie na ta chou de zu dong yang you ma ba yi
mhm,
jie yang ma zhuo ba de la qiu gu res dang ga hua mi ba den dang ga hua mi ba sen da sem ka ri na zai ang ga ma song le zai tong do ge ro ma la so tong do ya
mhm,
de yo ba de la dang ga hua mi ba nong ke res 티니보다 티니보 예와 제야 요 말다 거나 직관을 이 제야 말로 난 가파미고 거나 냥트면서 근데 가하는데 가요 말와 뭐
mhm,
티니 니스미 바데 칸트야 단데 칸트 네요 맞다 네 네도서 요 말고 가르나
mhm,
뭐 티니도 드크레스 드비고 what is sem
mhm,
keje kanade the sound yores
mhm. So then it says, even the three bodies or the three kayas are present in any single current moment of awareness. The truth body or Dharmakaya is its nature or the essence, which does not exist in any form. The complete enjoyment body or Sambhogakaya is its unceasing radiance. And the emanation body or the Nirmanakaya is the union of both. So the essence is Dharmakaya, the unceasing display of the awareness is the Sambhogakaya, and these two are an indivisibility. They actually cannot be um, divided from one another. So we can't say, oh, this is this separate thing called Dharmakaya. This is this separate thing called Sambhogakaya. They are an indivisibility, and that indivisibility is Nirmanakaya, which in all three are present as the natural expression of awareness in any given moment, indivisible and abiding nowhere.
tene tata nga zo yo de chachen kang kan ma na he wa
Mm,
xian du gun zhen ta la men ne na kare xian du gun zhen ta la men ne na kare tang tai ta de chu ne lo chang ma tong ge de zong qiu ra ta ngin lo ya wan zhou ma ste xian du
mm,
gun ta che ta de ma ne na de ne de chu ne lo chang ma tong ge de no zhe zong yo ra
mm.
ten zhi de sa wa
So in likewise, it's expressed in the Ganges Mahamudra that when we
wa te ra de
realize
no chu na ma lun tong wan zhou si lo zong ra xian du gun
Yangsha,
zhen ta la men de no chu na ma lun tong wan xiao zhen zhe zong ra xian du gun zhen ta la men ne na de no chu na ma lun tong wan xiao si de no yo ra no de no
Lungdeno,
de no xiao chang ma tong ge zhe xiang de da
mm, Yinayang Dangpo de Penata
咸度公堂车送他了满天呢，电动车那
Shin,
么的，先把人都把仓马车啊，各种
mm,
啊，这是
Shindu,
这到底有喂，
La,
这有喂，别讲这到底有
Echa
喂，
yo, Data Lakpa Lame, Yinayang
他
Di
没那
Jela
没那过
Yabo
嘛，
Lobjong Jego, something,
呀呀，
yeah, yeah.
咸度
Uh,
公车他了满天那是，
mhm,
咸度公堂车的人他了满天那是，
mhm,
电动车那么的通马车是电动，他电动
mhm.
车车他们几条很多的电动了
So.
不是，我的车那么的通马车是。
So it is said that, when one abides in this essence, which is free from all extremes or all elaborations, free from all extreme or elaboration, the entirety or the perfection of the baskets or categories of scripture, one sees perfectly the meaning of the categories, the different baskets of scripture.
对朝鲜空干嘛的拉音呗，
La'in,
拉
no,
音，
not la'in.
那
So
要真的，
this meaning is expressed also in the Ganges Mahamudra.
真的，他吃完可以用的，当然这些就去个数字了吧，吃完用当领导就可以了。
So we still have about a half an hour. So if you all have some questions, we can open it up to discussion to address these questions. If you have questions, if you don't have questions, that's okay too.
啊，不是的呗，
Not Kogamido. Is there a way for people who ask questions to get a microphone so I can hear them?
Well, let's try this other option first, because we don't have a microphone, but I can make the sound a little louder, so let's try.
Yeah, try that. I can hear your voice right now, but I couldn't hear the person who was trying to speak.
You actually can go up there.
Yeah, everybody come up to the front of the room.
Your face. You don't have to just keep me on this side of it.
Yeah.
So my question is about the seven.
No. Drupon, it's the microphone of the camera.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not that one.
So
So
it works.
Yeah, you're fine. So my question is about the 7 points, the posture. I've gotten really sloppy with.
So
my-
funny. I was thinking of you, Amadea, when he was talking about that. Yeah. Okay. Just because of the winds and Ayurveda.
I would very much appreciate it if you could review the hand posture, because I'm sloppy.
哪怕也把大下用马头包是吧？
Ye ba gangla ja yong ba o.
嗯，
So he said the gesture of the hands is that your right hand is resting on your left hand is underneath your right hand. But the molatinro nang lapsong mo te sa jesha like this. So he's demonstrating.
可以呀，这个听懂，那这就是那这个啥，啊，听的
Some people do it like this, he said, but he thinks like this is okay.
听他的吧是吧？
So re tendare. Is that it? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Tuchinam.
行吧，
Other questions?
是吧？
Drupon, can you give suggestions on how, I know you touched upon strong winds, but can you give other other suggestions that help us to control our winds when they get very strong and almost unbearable? Especially when-
Kinsonge pena shine gombe kala teni samsam na pena ha be garela kokore namdo mangra teni sim test tempo mayemba de long rawo yang pel sigerewa teni tegi kola test sungirawa yini yang garsi pena samsam na ngato pe long pelgi yona teni sim chune tempo meba nangshin tesa nyongpa rawo chagi yorowa teni de kala pena yang ngato
샘 욕도 나와.
Mare sem nyong tes nyong pa trawo tenda de sem pena tempo me pa lung pelwe ka la ra teni de tes pena namto mangda tang sakit sigiro cha ra teni de ka la nga cho nune tenda sem tempo cha ya ki tapshi yaksho kare trawo yore.
다들 저한테 메타를 쉬이바 참상대 상황에서 디스튜어 조사 어제 들어와서 디스트로원다 코나 디스페도어 대해서 뭐제 세세치 니가든 참상 들이 지난데 다 농 소송네 저 농점농 효치 보시라면 다나 나래 마농 소네 드네 대외 보면라 소농 소래요 반노치 때 칼루도만 매네테 마대외 요가 송배 som다 我他特拉的弄样子了，你
Kado chik sung yimbe kado.
看了吧，是吧？看了，起码，
Ah,
没看了。
na.
Yeah, that's the main idea. Yeah, that's
맞아,
all.
하고송.
카루 메이네.
음,
테르테바 알레레바 테르 섬도 다네. 테르
맞아,
나타세 마이 바제 치디 테르테네. 테치나 산타티 스페셜로 간도도.
맞아.
산타 아카히테 공자데 나포만 본초면 산타 페이지에 있잖아.
음,
페이지가 되는 포스 주로야 타. 디
맞아.
산사바가 조금
음,
투비하나.
음,
테르다 뉴사레.
음. So he said, so like he said, he said like specifically, for instance, eating really heavy foods, kind of like fatty, heavy foods that feel, like have like strong nutritional value. If you That can be really helpful. Also, as he said, wearing kind of heavier clothes or like really kind of making the body very warm. Also, sometimes it can be effective to bring like the winds below the navel. So swallowing, and gently pushing the winds down to abide below the navel and resting the attention there below the navel can sometimes really help. And not becoming distracted, but just using that holding, that gentle holding of the winds below the navel as your focal point can be really beneficial. Some people also, when they're just like really being kind of assaulted by thoughts, for instance, and the mind feels kind of untethered, they do the practice of strongly reciting the syllable pit to dispel the discursive thoughts. So those are some different methods.
지수멜라레베 대송도 다다티 가서 지수멜을 로마 좀 담만 봄스지 이러와
Mm-hmm.
어디 더치와 마보제 당 타마 다다티 지수멜라레베 저원들라 베로나 요금이 공시 jobs
Mm-hmm.
제 점수들라 베로나 카딩미 공시 jobs 니다니라 베론 제렘이 공시 jobs 어ත네 저원들라 베론 요금이 맞라서
So Riwo Gande?
저원들라 베로나 요금이 공시 jobs
Yogu
요금
me. Dine gyamso kading me ba nima seldrit me ba.
Terug komt Jobs,
Mhm.
ranksem belona, nam på mig kom sig Jobs. Och det ranksem belona, nam på mig kom Jobs där.
Mhm. Mhm.
Och det lite många kallar sen det där modis kom Java så nu man kanske Java
Mhm.
där. Det kom Java det gäller det under det här så då bara. Ta kan du ju det till så det. Ro kom det rates. Ro
Mhm.
kom det och då innan. 自信kom吧，中嘛的自信的那些毛不有了，这不是。
Mhm.
现在做点的这些我们对我们都是在别想想是吧？
Mhm.
我听呢，建筑工的啦，这是巴拉建筑用嘛的，是我们用嘛的，这些我
Mhm.
们都是巴拉在点呢。
Mhm.
听呢，你那工的啦，这啥个工啥的干嘛子啊？这是我们用嘛的，用这些我们都是点。
Mhm.
我听呢，让什么工的啦，听那多工吧，用嘛的，我听呢，真是中多。
Mhm.
许多，这就是
Mhm.
么了？可是总之呢，如果光对了，那自行是我全出去是，
Mhm.
他是我提供上的学士，他是我提供上的那么几个人是，建
Mhm.
筑光对了，那把那建筑全出去是，这建筑
Mhm.
啊，全光家是，
Mhm.
啊，他呢，现在光对了，对了，那啥个，对的，那可以全出去是，对对，啥个啊。 어디 김하는 난 얘들 가는 티나가 검적 제레미 검트라 접스러와
Mhm.
어때네 랑셈 그거라나 검스데라나 나포셈 춘주이스 어때 나포셈 춘주 셈 코란 뭐 다스
Mhm.
어때 라냐면서 진투 종고레스
Mhm.
팀마다게 텐주 정도
Mhm. So also it's helpful sometimes to think about the pith instructions that Jessamine Milarepa gave to his female disciple Dharma Boom. When she came to him for instructions and he said, he told her, meditate like a mountain that is, without wavering and movement, that is stable and doesn't waver or move. Meditate like an ocean that is without the kind of undisturbed at the depths, from the depths. Meditate like the sun and moon that is without, without that can't be sort of dimmed or brightened, that is without brightening or dimming. And she came back to him and said, it is all fine and good, and then he said, using these examples, meditate on your mind that is without the essence of which is free of discursive thought. So she said she went and she meditated, and then she came back to him and she said, it's all fine and good when I meditate on a mountain, but what to do about the bushes and trees? She said, it's all fine and good when I meditate on the ocean, but what to do about the waves? And she said, it's all fine and good when I meditate on the sun and moon, but what to do about the planets and stars? And it's all fine and good to meditate on my mind, but what to do about all of the endless thoughts? And Milarepa said, when meditating on the mountain, the trees and bushes are the natural expression of the mountain. When meditating on the ocean, the waves are the natural expression of the ocean. When meditating on the sun and moon, the planets and stars are a natural expression of the sky. So when meditating on your own mind, the thoughts are just a natural expression of the mind. So look at the essence of the mind. Look directly at the essence of your mind.
Yeah, then,
So essentially, don't be disturbed.
There's a question on Zoom, which is, can you please comment on the advantage of meditating with eyes open or closed?
这基本上都是吧。
Mhm.
这长步吧，那就当没大那要的，但这工作呢，七八月嘛，没大学的，大概可以
So Leitang Popo Yana make
大
test.
那呀，
Tana. So actually he said, it kind of doesn't matter. You can do it either way. In the beginning, it is said to be better to have the eyes a little bit open, to meditate with eyes open instead of closing them, because you're more likely to become fully distracted with that closed eyes. But later on, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, 行吧。
Yes, another question from Zoom. Can you provide a simple instructions for visualization and a mandala for a novice?
I don't think I understand the question.
매일 답되고 소쇼서 봐.
Yine yang di mikba chetang la urwa mikba chetang
아니
tapdebo.
매일
So are you talking about the field of accumulation?
Yes, that would be excellent. All we have right now is this question, and that probably would refer to that.
So the question is, what's an easy way for a beginner to visualize when practicing mandala?
Yes, that's correct. That's what the questioner said, yes.
Okay. Re kain sena menda puwe kabla dene de pena di soshing yorwa be mambo yorwa. Dene de le lawa rawo denda mikba chetang yorwe.
但是这当来到我现在没办法，都唐伯在第是，但是嘛，东北听懂个，我听懂的，我才说那第三样是看到特别气，真的做他是这边的嘛，也没多少强有吧。我他来做人，他来培训上做他当他光叫从从嘛有上吧，他来也培训上做明白，这那么做他来的。
So de chikbo mayen pa pena mendel yang be pena de charlu babo lo zambo sama de yang.
我他面对这推对，咱什么要不他对对的当那凌晨有时凌晨，他家通过那说法提，他在有这一天他光叫什么呀？朋友上说说个老狼呢。
That's all.
This so yin, so puyo, samra, they some so puyo. They may say rank Louis that then rank Louis Tina Chudi, right? Like you cannot run Louis Chudi, right? Run Louis Tanti, but some of them job I appreciate some tea somewhat.
That's all.
They rank down zit by the center show, some
Mhm.
time.
So there's kind of two things going on with the mandala offering. You have the field of accumulation that you're offering the mandala to, and you have what the contents of the mandala, you know, the four continents, the sun and the moon, and so forth that you're offering. So a sort of simplified way of visualizing the field of accumulation, it's like you sort of can just mainly focus on, you know, you're doing the recitation and you're making the offering, and you can primarily be thinking of your root guru in the form of Vajradhara. And just think that, you know, it's an abundant field of accumulation with your root guru as Vajradhara at the center. And this field of accumulation embodies like the three jewels. So essentially, you're making the offering to the three jewels. And then when it comes to the mandala itself that's being offered, you know, mainly it's the four continents, Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. But you can think that this is like represents the universe, and also you're offering your own body. You know, it's like together with your own body, all of your wealth and possessions and so forth, that you're offering these to the three jewels. And the objective of this is to diminish the mind of self-grasping. So that's the main thing, right? That as you offer this and you offer it with faith to the three jewels, with the aspiration or the supplication, the prayer to overcome the mind of self-grasping.
근데 that's错做，那这错你做，那这归你恐怕特别错，是做特别，我这就怎么当这就在了，
And you can think that
错我做特别的错，我做。
So the main thing is, you know, you're gathering the accumulations through the practice of mandala. It's a practice to gather the accumulations with the objective of attaining the two types of attainments or siddhis, the common and supreme siddhis, and manifesting the two kayas, the, you know, the rupa kaya and the dharma kaya.
那他吃完就呗，行吧？
Are there other questions?
The question here is about special insight meditation. Do we start off in one of the methods of shamatha and then move to vipassana by looking at the nature of mind directly while in the awareness generated by shamatha? How do I look at mind itself?
Person.
Dini di latong, yeah. So danang po shine gongyore, dini shinge di ki tinge zen nang la nebe katla, dini latong to goai drawo yo jire, di shine ki tinge zen nang ne, dini sim gi ngo tekar tagi yorebe, dini di gi ngang ne taki chine toki yorebe.
他比较好是的，现在在要不工地呢，他现在是我有的，是我有呢，真的这个说，咱先谁家当地的现在，我们呢，真的咱说别，我他谁家的这边工地呢，比较很多天南对着说的啥嘞，这当很多做的他在说的些呢，而且就的呢，是很多的先我的同那他很多是学啥的哇，他跟同事，他这当那做你们没法讲的，这是。Sem şimdi sevo şimdi semne va jitinga ngozong mi ba sem sevo yo ba ni na ta ta ha no len cha yo sare.
So it's actually, he said, kind of a natural process, because mainly through developing shamatha, when the calm abiding or shamatha becomes really developed and the mind can really abide stably, but there's clarity there. There's like a kind of a natural vividness or clarity to the awareness within that state of really stable abiding, that actually special insight is kind of contained within that. Mainly, you know, what the practice is to recognize the essence of awareness, and it is necessary to cultivate calm abiding in order to be able to do this. But there has to be the abiding quality of the mind together with a really vivid clarity of awareness. And that vivid clarity and very stable abiding is what kind of enables one to then identify the true essence of awareness. And so it sort of actually really becomes a natural evolution, he said. It's a higher level of meditation that develops over time.
되네.
Other questions?
Yes, in the Vajrasattva practice,
음.
is the merging of our minds with the guru's mind and then resting in the natural state a form of purification?
글쎄.
Is that merging itself a part of the purification?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
그래. 맞지.
So the Dorje Simba Gombe Kala, then the Dorje Simba Tamala, Dorje Simba la Shugyurwa, then Rang la Tim Gyurwa, then Yang Rang Dang Sanje, or Rang Dang Lamege, Kusung Tuk Dang Rangi Lungak Sing Yer Me Pachagi Urwa, then the Yer Me Pachakpa, the Lama Dang Yer Me Pachakpa, the Di Rang Yang Dikpa Dayaki. Legado Chegiureve.
와다 지당 가서 돌산 군대 티가 저당 되고 사거로 와. 군대 dobsen bejontere 통탐 마다데 도르제스 바라 예미 치유데 통탐 베기 야바로 차려서라. 이건
Oh,
통탐
Don Dambagi Shakpa. Lasso.
와지당테 와레당테 라스 인데사.
So in general, the practice of Vajrasattva is purifying negativity or obscurations, defilements, and in that section, you know, where the Vajrasattva dissolves into light, and we merge, you know, who is the guru, we merge with the guru, and that actually becomes like the confession of the ultimate level, like the ultimate level confession or purification.
야, 되네. that's why you some
So now are we finished with questions, or are there any others?
된다 말로 하나로 원들이 많아.
So he's going to continue then.
되네. 다들 말씀도 된다 와. 다들 롱제도 와. 이미 남자를 기준에 스타트 콘트 롱테라리. 콘트 롱여와. 와드네 이미 남자를 기준에 스테네
Nime
남자
namjagi.
레스. 와 제와니가 추지고 이미 남자 세주제 사라티나 와다. 제와니가 추지고 당가파미가 노조조. can't maintain 주베고 소다데 can't maintain 바데 주베고 제스. 와데 와데 정도와 와데 다사데 공생을 소제라 바티노나.
So then at the bottom it says the victory of non-duality Tantra says the meaning as known by all Buddhas, the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion. There.
제와니가 추지고 메도에.
Chewanebe chugiko. Shorangare. Yeah. Okay, Gongda. Yeah, that song. Yeah, so in the victory of non-duality, it says, unborn is the truth body or Dharmakaya. Unceasing is the sorry, you matter. Yeah. Oh, Lasso. Yeah, so he explained it because it's explained in the verse above or the writing above, but this is also then exemplified by this quote from the Victory of Non-Duality Tantra, which says, unborn is the truth body, unceasing, or the Dharmakaya, unceasing is the complete enjoyment body, or the Sambhogakaya, and abiding nowhere is the emanation body, or the Dharma, or the Nirmanakaya. Thus is the way of indivisibility shown.
되네. 다 들어야 잘 가는 아주 완전 몸도 있을 거만 가지고 보면 되나?
That's all. So we can conclude here and just end the session with some meditation, with some final meditation together.
다들 가서 지나서 가려고 보면 야단 되는 도움으로 와서 가려야
So you can meditate in whatever way suits you. You can each, choose how it is, whatever method it is that you wish to follow in your meditation.
근데 다 들어본 뜻을 시향은 많이 주시와 시간을 상하서
That's
근데
all.
선이 되지.
That's all. So we can conclude here now, as it's 4:30 Albuquerque time, and we can pick up and continue with the teachings tomorrow. So thank you all.